Gilad.
Hello, Chaim.
And how are you guys? We are today in lesson number 8 of what does it mean to be Jewish today, based on the book Like a Bundle of Reeds. Why Unity and Mutual Guarantee are today's call of the hour.
As usual, we're very, very happy to be here. And although today we're going to have a Q&A session,
right,
you're still welcome to add in your live questions onto the chat, and we'll
Absolutely.
be happy to refer to them as well.
And right before we begin, we would like to do a little recap on last week's lesson. We talked about the mingling of the Jews throughout the world, basically. But let's do a more general recap, because today is like a Q&A session. So we're going to talk a little more in general about how the Jewish people came about and the role of the Jewish people and anti-Semitism. So let's go back to the beginning and quickly run through this development until about today. So we have this guy named Abraham, and he lives in Babylon or wherever, Mesopotamia, in the Fertile Crescent somewhere, Haran. And he starts thinking about his townspeople and what's going on with them. He's dissatisfied with their situation, with what's going on. He feels the mood is changing. He's a very well-known individual. His father is a spiritual leader in his town, and it's a big town. And he starts asking questions, this Abraham. And he discovers that there is only one force to reality, one power. The power that gives everything, that gives life to everything. And he discovers that it's a power of giving, of bestowal. And he realized that this is the missing element in his townsfolk, in the world basically, that they're all working to receive instead of to give. And he begins to explain that if we only add that spice to our lives, the spice of giving, which we do through unity, then everything will be okay. Our lives will be back in balance. And some people listen to him, and others don't. And his father disagrees with him. So his father sends him to the king, Nimrod. And they have famous dispute. And he ends up fleeing his city. But wherever he goes, he explains what he learned. Him and his wife, Sarah. And they gather more and more students. They become a group. They end up landing in the land of Canaan. They have children, and the group grows. And they eventually become what we now know as the people of Israel. The people of Israel also experience ups and downs as a result of intensification of the ego, of the desire to receive. But they always balance it out eventually with the desire to give through unity. So their struggles are struggles to enhance their unity. They go through the development. We know Egypt, Moses, then another exile in Babylon with the story of Haman and Esther. And eventually, there's only a few of them left in the land of Israel, and they are chased out when they completely lose their ability to unite. But by now they have a history of about 1,500 years of having practiced unity over obstacles, over over egoism. So it is well rooted within them, this trait of unity. And they don't know how to implement the method by which to unite anymore, because they can't use it anymore. They're too self-centered now. But it's in there, hidden in there, dormant. But because they are not united, they lose the land, and they are dispersed all over the world. And that's how they've been for the past 2,000 years or so, more or less. Throughout those years, they spread all over the world. And wherever they go, they kind of plant seeds of an understanding that unity is good. Not only that, two religions kind of branch out from Judaism, which by now is an ordinary religion, Christianity and later Islam. And those two religions inherit two key concepts. One is love your neighbor as yourself. They interpret it differently. True, we had questions about that. And it's true that they interpret it differently, but they do inherit this concept of love your neighbor as yourself. And the other is that there is only one force, one God. This is very important because that prepares the world to understanding that you only need to look for one force for all your troubles. To solve all your troubles, you need to focus only on that force, not on the sun, not on the moon, not on the trees, not on anything else, but this one force that creates everything. And that the way toward it, I'm not sure if it's explained this way, but at least there is this basis for understanding that the way to come in contact with that one force is through implementing love your neighbor as yourself. So this is very important. Beginning from about the Renaissance, the 16th century, there's a Kabbalist named Isaac Luria, the Ari. From his time onward, Kabbalists begin to talk about the opening up of the wisdom to the entire world. They sense that the world is getting more and more ready for it. And they warn that the more we are delayed with opening up the wisdom, this understanding of reality. Oh, and just another point that I forgot to mention. From the time when Israel loses its ability to unite, its contact with the Creator, the only ones who do maintain it are Kabbalists. And they do it in concealment because the people aren't ready for it. They wouldn't understand them. So they continue to develop the method for the time when people are prepared. And they sense that people are getting prepared, are becoming ready from about the Renaissance. So they warn that the more delayed we are, the worse off people will be, and especially the Jews. Beginning with the 20th century, Kabbalists start to warn that a disaster will come unless we reunite and rekindle that brotherly love that we had as a means for attaining the Creator. And that it is now time to do our duty, which is to be a light for the nations, in the sense that we spread this unity to the rest of the world and that is, as long as we don't, anti-Semitism will not cease and only worsen. Of course, the highlight of that trend of growing anti-Semitism is the Holocaust. And Baal Sulam, Rav Yehuda Ashlag, author of the Sulam commentary on the Book of Zohar, warns that because the correction hasn't been made and Jews haven't united and haven't spread it throughout the world, the danger of such fierce, violent anti-Semitism is still very much alive, and that we can expect Nazism to return if we don't do what we did. And he also talks about its return specifically in Western countries. Within a few weeks, we will release the writings of the last generation, where he talks about it very openly, including warnings that Anglo-Saxon countries will become Nazi countries, fascist. He actually calls them Nazi countries, but not only them. He talks about other countries as well. He wrote this right after, or in the early 1950s, because he talks about atom bombs and hydrogen bombs, and about a third world war and a fourth world war. So it's after the Second World War. He died, by the way, in 1954. So it was written somewhere in between the end of World War II and 1954. So that's where we stand today, at a point where we have to unite, at a point where we are experiencing the coming true of his prophecies. Of course, not nearly as severe as he predicts it could become, but the trajectory is negative, very negative. So this is what prompted Dr. Michael Lightman. Dr. Lightman's teacher was Baal Sulam's firstborn son and successor, Rav Baruch Ashlag. So Dr. Lightman is very well immersed. He has all the original manuscripts of Baal Sulam. He is well versed in all of his writings, and he understands them like no one else does. So he is very concerned about where the world is going. And today is not the only one. Many people are talking about the return of the Holocaust, the trajectory of current anti-Semitism, how the current situation for the time being in Europe, but it's getting worse quickly elsewhere as well, including in the U.S. And that many people are saying that it's becoming reminiscent of pre-World War II anti-Semitism, and this is certainly not a good sign. So here we are talking about what we can do about it, because now we have the means. We can spread the message, and we know what message we should spread, so we should do everything we can to spread it. So now we're going to talk about your questions, which pretty much relate to that, and try to get deeper into it as we go. Gilad, if there are any questions at any point, just go ahead. Mm-hmm. And
there are a few, but we'll collect them a little more, and then we'll do.
Also, if you have if you tried the famous homework we gave you on lesson 6, I think it was, to do the workshop. If you have any experiences on that you haven't told us about, please share it with us, and we'll read them over here. But before we get going, let's look at some of the slides I've prepared. They all come from chapter number 8. Let's look at slide number 1. The first 3 slides are going to be with the topic of unity, the heart and soul of Israel. Okay? So why am I reading those? Because I want you to see that there were many sages and rabbis and Kabbalists who were talking about the importance of unity as being the heart of Israel, as being the salvation of Israel, and as being Israel's duty to spread throughout the world. So let's read slide number 1. Yehuda Leib Alta, the Admo of Gur, writes this. It was established on Mount Sinai that the children of Israel became one nation. This is why it is written I in singular form, because to the extent of the unity between them, His godliness is present over the children of Israel, meaning they are in contact with the Creator. Slide number 2. This is by Rabbi David Solomon A. Ben Schutz. Although the bodies of the whole of Israel are divided, their souls are a single unity at the root. This is why Israel are commanded to unity of the hearts, as it is written, and Israel encamped there before Mount Sinai, in singular form. That's how it's written in Hebrew. Which means that they were corresponding below, meaning that they had unity. Meaning that if they unite below, they unite their souls. Below, meaning in the material world, they unite their souls. Above, and come in contact with the Creator. It may sound a little abstruse, but we can see he's stressing the importance of unity. Look at slide number 3. This is from the book of Zohar itself. You, the friends who are here, as you were in fondness and love before, henceforth you will not part from one another, until the Lord rejoices with you and declares peace over you. And by your merit there will be peace in the world. As it is written, for the sake of my brothers and friends, I will speak, may peace be in you. So we see how unity is the core of Judaism, and today it has to be the core of our social life in order for us to be able to build a sustainable, happy society. Okay, so now let's move on to the questions. Now I put them in random order, so give me a sec to choose one, and let's see what we got. Okay, let's start with the first one. How can we achieve? Okay, some of the questions were not written by native English speakers, so you will have to bear with me, okay? How can we achieve that Jews around the world fulfill their role within humanity, since they are the ones to initiate the correction? In other words, how can Jews around the world unite and thus fulfill their role? Why? Because they have to start the correction. How can we do it? That's exactly what we're doing here. While we're talking to you guys. And the reason I read this one first is that I would like very much to encourage you to do the same wherever you are. This is why we gave you this homework, because it's very important that people experience unity firsthand. And once they have this feeling of warmth and friendship at a level that they didn't feel before. Then you can talk about where this is coming from. You can tell them about this course. You can tell them about the site, bundleofreads.com. And, have them experience it. And if you make them join us, then you will have friendships at levels that you've never experienced. Let's take the next one. Why Jews refuse to understand their role. That's a very good one. Basically, the role of the Jews is to be the wet blanket in the party. Everybody wants to work for themselves, to succeed alone, or better yet, to succeed in company where they are at the top of the heap. And in short, everybody wants to be the best and to be self-centered and succeed in that and get away with it. And we Jews have to come to the world and say, hey, look guys, this is great, but this is not going to work. We somehow managed to come thus far, but look around you. It's falling apart. It's like the Tower of Babylon falling apart, crumbling into pieces. Soon we'll be standing on a pile of bricks, those of us who are left standing. So we got to change. And what's the way to change? Listen to Abraham. That's the Jews. He is telling us to unite. He's telling us that if we only unite, things will be okay. There's no need to lose anything. There's no need to give away your money, your property, your savings, nothing. It's just a question of how we treat each other from now on. So we don't have to change anything in the past, but we have to change everything about the future in terms of our approach to one another, our attitudes. That's the role of the Jews. It's very unpleasant. Jews themselves are now selfish. Possibly more selfish than anyone else. There's an explanation that the higher you climb, the lower you fall. So because Jews were once in unity, now they are the most disunited nation. That's why they are blamed for causing all the troubles in the world by anti-Semites. So it's unpleasant both in the sense that Jews feel that this is not what the world wants, and it's unpleasant in the sense that Jews themselves don't want that, because they are also selfish like the rest of the world, if not worse. So this is why they refuse to understand their role. It's not a conscious process. And those of us who understand need to keep banging on this point, constantly insisting on it, until it becomes clear that this is the way. You want to create a two-way kind of a two-way force, because reality is forcing unity on us. In every sense of the word, Gilad gave us those beautiful examples about the interconnectedness of the world, and as a result of the interconnectedness of the world and our unwillingness to live accordingly, we feel a worsening crisis. So the pressure is growing, and the worse off people become, the more anti-Semitic they'll become, because they feel subconsciously, instinctively, where the solution is found. And since it's not coming from there, they become more angry at the source of the solution. So that's from the bad, from the negative trajectory, let's put it this way. And from the positive trajectory, you want to give them the message so that once they start asking, what's going on here? Why is the world against us? Even worse than ever before. Then they will find the answer. It'll be available. So we need to make it available. Before a disaster happens. So that's why we're doing everything. And this, I suppose, is the only way to make Jews stop refusing to understand their role. It's not a conscious process. They just need to be brought into the awareness by pressures from the positive side, and apparently until they get it from the negative side. Let's take something from what we have now.
Mm-hmm. So it actually relates to the homework that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago about the workshop. And Jim from Washington is asking, without even considering the other points in the hearts that are either Jew and Israel,
Mm-hmm.
the religious Jews in Israel and in the diaspora, and in, hold on, I'm getting that my mic isn't close enough. I hope that's better. With that, so again, I'll read it again.
Okay.
So Jim from Washington is asking, without even considering the other points in the hearts that are Jew and Israel, the religious Jews in Israel and in the diaspora seem to be so non-inclusive. Is there some accessible and understandable tool besides the workshop that will enable them to unify and become a light unto the nations?
Sounds like he's talking about the Orthodox Jews, right?
I think Jews in general. I think maybe he's basically asking if a workshop is one thing, but are there other tools as well to reach out to the Jews in Israel and abroad?
Okay, let's divide the answer here. First of all, regarding the Orthodox Jews, at this point in time, it is pretty much pointless to approach them. I know that Dr. Lightman does not approach them. Of course, he speaks to everyone. It's on the internet, it's live and it's recorded and you can download it and it's all free. So anyone can approach it, and some Orthodox Jews do. But he's not directing his words to Orthodox Jews because we need to understand that they have a very solid method of their own, in the sense, not for achieving unity, but a way of life, let's call it this way. It's well established. They've been living in the same way, more or less, for the past 2,000 years or so. And they believe firmly that this is the right way. So when you have a situation like that, you don't touch a person. The same goes for devout Christians or Muslims. Don't touch them. Don't touch anyone who is devout about his religion. It can do damage. You can have them do a workshop. Why not? It's great. They feel warmth and friendliness. That can't hurt. But any word about the source of this idea of a workshop and unity and Israel and Abraham and all that, that can do harm. So I would avoid doing that. we need to leave religious people to come to unity on their own terms. Let's put it this way. It's not time yet. But then there's the rest of humanity to deal with. We've got plenty of people. As for the non-Orthodox Jews, what's he asking? Why are they non-inclusive?
Yes, he's asking... he's saying it seems that they're not inclusive, and he's saying, is there an accessible and understandable tool besides the workshop that will enable them to unify and become a light to the nations?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm not sure how many Jews you know, or if you are Jewish. Not all the Jews are like that. Many Jews, actually I think most Jews, non-Orthodox Jews, are very open to the world. On the contrary, they want to mingle with the world. So they're very inclusive. They're very embracing. It's the world that rejects them, precisely because they're not doing their role. They don't understand it. And as a result, they're always apologetic. So anyone who's willing to embrace them, they'll join him, pretty much. So this may be more of a personal impression, what you're describing. However, talking about other means, that's a good question. It's a good opportunity. First of all, if we're talking about how this method of unity was kept among Kabbalists since the time when the Jews lost their ability to unite, then today this is open to everyone. You can go to Kabbalahinfo, and there you will find a link to the Education Center where we give free courses. You can register and get free courses on Kabbalah. This is specifically about Kabbalah. This is more for people with points in the heart. Okay? And in that case, we're not talking about Jews, non-Jews, we're talking about everyone. But you never know if you don't or do have a point in the heart until you try it out. So you're welcome to go ahead and register and join the courses. It's all free. Just like we are doing it here, it's live and recorded, and you can download it later. There are books that go with it. So that could be interesting. And that will definitely teach you about the importance of unity. You have the workshops, as we said. There's tons of written material. If you go to ariresearch.org or to michaelleitman.com, you will find tons of written material about unity, about the roots of the method, and that in itself can be very educating. It's good to know where this is all coming from. Other practical methods, I don't really think you need any. As I said before, we have a team, Gilad is one of its leaders, working on creating an online environment for people who want to unite. It's going to take some time, but it will happen. But it's we don't have to wait. We mustn't actually wait. It doesn't take much. Workshops is a great tool. You don't just, it's not a one-time thing you do. It's a development, it's a process. As you do it, you will experience all kinds of situations and you'll need to overcome them. You can try them out with different people. You can try it with the same people. And then you go through a whole process. And that's basically all you need, because really the key is to change our attitudes. You don't need that much instruments to change an attitude, to understand that living for yourself only is a bad idea. There's so much science supporting this now that it's absurd. The only thing that's missing with all the scientific theories that talk about how we have to live interconnectedly because the universe is interconnected, the only thing that's missing there is that we ourselves have to change our nature in order for us to be able to do it. And that's exactly what we are adding. The ability to change our nature. Or let's not even call it changing our nature. To add something to our nature, a missing element. It's the missing link between humanity and the universe. And once we add that link to ourselves, then we become a channel through which the light flows. We become connected with reality as it truly functions, with the law of unity of reality, with the Creator, in a single word. Okay, let's take another one. Why isn't unity sort of happening now? By this I mean many Jews and non-Jews worship and work together in many aspects of the secular world, medically, scientifically, etc. So why isn't the world changing already? Because Jews and non-Jews are already collaborating. Yes, they are collaborating indeed, but are they trying to unite at heart? Are they trying to use unity in order to discover the force of life that Abraham discovered? If not, then it's like you're given a piece of candy that you just love. And it's given to you, and the minute before you put it in your mouth, it's taken away from you. How do you feel about the person who took it away from you? This is what the nations feel about Jews. Because the Jews don't understand the role of unity, what it's for, and that unity isn't just happening at work and with friendship and whatnot. Unity is not collaboration. It's joining of the hearts into one. Love your neighbor as yourself. Think about it. The ultimate goal, ultimately, it's absolute altruism. As much as you love yourself now, you have to love all other people. So you end up loving, because currently we love only ourselves, so eventually we will love only other people. So what? We'll just forget about ourselves and die? No, because everyone else will be in that situation caring for us. So instead of us having to take care of ourselves, we'll have the whole world taking care of us. So it's a very good deal. It's a steal, really. And in addition to that, you discover the Creator, what Abraham discovered. So that's the goal. When people work toward unity with that in mind, then they can succeed. Okay, let's take another one. Okay, let's take a tricky one. We talked about Henry Ford and his quotes, and how he said that Jews, if they only knew what they had to do, then people wouldn't hate them. So there's a question here: why should Jewish people feel ashamed for the hateful philosophy of Henry Ford? Jews don't need to feel ashamed about anything. And Henry Ford was indeed hateful. The thing is, though, that what he said then reflects the views of many millions of people throughout the world today. So you cannot bury your head in the sand and say, no, he was an anti-Semite, he was an extremist. A lot of people feel the same way. But not only that, he was also pointing out the way toward correction. Even as one who hates the Jews, he felt where correction could come from, how the Jews could correct the situation. And he said that it's up to them. And in that, he is right. It is up to the Jews to correct the situation. So, forget about whether or not he hated the Jews, but look at what he pointed out. That the Jews at some point in their history had this amazing gift and lived in this perfect society that they maintained. And then they lost it. And he says the only trouble with the Jews today is that they are not practicing what they practiced then. Of course, he doesn't know about the development of the will to receive and how we grow more egoistic over time. So he doesn't understand why the Jews aren't doing it. That's up to us to understand it and implement it. But the general direction where he's pointing is correct. And it's up to us to implement it, to find the way to reunite, and this time spread it out. Because now that's what everyone needs. Because the reason for the global crisis we're seeing today is our disunity. And since the Jews have this miraculous method to unite, why miraculous? Because they're using the power of unity, the power of bestowal, the Creator. So the Jews have to implement it. Because they have it in them, in their genes. They used it for 1,500 years. Now they have to reuse it. And of course, give it away right away. Okay. More questions?
Yep.
Okay.
We have a great question from Harvey. Harvey from Los Angeles is saying, Judaism may be all about unity, but Jewish law seems obsessed with separation, separating the impure from the pure and the Jewish from the non-Jewish. He says that he's Jewish according to Jewish law, but his son isn't. So how can he seek unity when Judaism creates a division between him and his own flesh, his own son?
Purity and impurity need to be understood on a deeper level. We're talking about a change of attitude here. And we're talking about how a change of attitude is what the Jews need to give to the world today. From disunity to unity. So let's take one Jewish law of purity and impurity as an example. Jews are forbidden to eat pork because it's impure. That's what the scriptures say. They are allowed to eat beef because it's pure. That's what the scriptures say. Now, you answer the question yourself. Does eating pork change your attitude to anything? Or does eating beef to forget about to anything, to other people? Or does eating beef, if you eat a cow, Are you more generous? Are you more loving? Do you discover the Creator by eating a cow instead of a pork, instead of a pig? The laws of purity and impurity represent an internal process of turning from self-centeredness to altruism, to giving. A process of changing this attitude. But they were written centuries, many centuries ago. And today we don't understand the symbolism. None of what's written in Jewish scriptures relates to the physical, material, carbon and protein world. The observing Jews observe it in this world, and it's fine. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. And if it connects you to Judaism in some way, let it be. But does it change your attitude to other people? It doesn't. And no one says it does. And that's a very important point. If, as a result of observing these rules in the material world, you think you are better than other people because you're not eating pork but only cow, then it's a problem. Then it becomes a cause for separation. And then it's detrimental. So you need to look at it from that direction. Try to have a workshop with your son, leaving aside everything that has to do with the physical world. Just come as two human beings and choose a topic and have other people, not just the two of you. That would be too intense. And choose a topic that's very general, not something too painful for the both of you. And do a workshop, sticking to the rules of the workshop, only adding, not negating what the other one is saying, not disagreeing, even if internally you do. What you say cannot come out as disagreement, but as an addition to what the other person is saying. Speaking one at a time, and if it's difficult, and it usually is, use an attention object. I was once in a circle where we were given the rules of the workshop, and then the host of the circle said, "This is it, the attention object. The person holding it gets all the attention, and then everybody listens to it." So, and it was a circle of Jews. So a guy from the circle asks, "Can we have a few more of those attention objects?" So it's a difficult rule to keep, but you can have only one in the circle, and that person gets all the attention. But do not speak for too long. Keep it to 1 minute, tops. Have a person with a stopwatch, even if need be, and you will see what happens. We've done these experiments in Israel and everywhere else in the world, in the U.S., in Germany, in Russia, in everywhere. We've done it with enemies, Arabs and Jews, Orthodox and secular, and neighbors who've been fighting for years. Not once did it fail. Not once. We call it the round table. So just try it out. Don't give up hope. And you will find ways that you can connect to your son on a level that transcends the protein world we live in. I'm sure you'll rekindle the unity.
I just want to add to that.
Yeah.
I want to share my experience from a round table session. A few weeks ago, I was in Eilat. We had a big campaign there of doing round table discussions, workshops, like Chaim was saying, and we did it on the boardwalk, right on the beach there, and we were there every evening, and it was a huge success. We had hundreds of people joining in every day, and one of the circles, we also had circles for tourists. There are a lot of tourists there, English speakers from all around the world, so we had also tourist circles. And I just want to share like the experience that some people mentioned after the circle. The circle started, and it was kind of, people joined in at different times, and the first couple joined in, and then we had to wait for other people to join, and it was a bit chilly outside, and it kind of started off not so great. And then another couple joined. The guy was from Israel, the girl was from Singapore, and then two girls from the Netherlands joined in as well, and two guys from America joined in as well. Anyway, it started building up, and we had this amazing workshop. I won't go into the details now because that will just take us an hour, but at the end of it, we did a round and we asked, what was your experience from the workshop? And it was unbelievable. Like the girl from Singapore, she said that it was the first time she's ever felt like that. She said that she's never opened up in the way she has. She's never experienced such a powerful connection with other people. And she said that she really felt that there's a huge potential in creating this connection between human beings, and that this was, she said, it brought out deep thoughts that she's never ever had before, and she didn't even think that she could have these thoughts. And then her boyfriend, her partner who was with her, he was amazed. He was like, he said he'd never seen her before like that, and they've been together for about 6 months or something like that, if I remember correctly. And it was really amazing to see how people in a session of 1 hour, they actually change. Like what people try to do for years, they try to go to psychologists, they try to do this, they try to do that, they try to change. But in 1 hour, in a powerful, moderated session between different people, a person actually goes through this change. It was really incredible. There were other feedback as well, but I can talk about it for another hour, so I'll just stop here. Maybe next time I'll give some more.
Yeah, we've been. Eilat is a good example. It's a resort city in Israel, and a lot of tourists come there, but also a lot of Israelis and Arabs who live in Israel. And although there's no war between Israeli Arabs and Israeli Jews.
Well, there almost was a few weeks ago.
There almost was, yes, but there's a lot of tension.
Mm-hmm.
You should see what happens there. First of all, we've been invited after every circle to do those circles in Arab villages and towns. We have like invitations for months ahead. Second, on a personal level, Jews and Arabs who truly resented one another, they could hardly sit one next to the other. At the beginning of a circle, an hour later, they walk out hugging. They exchange phone numbers. They create WhatsApp groups. They connect, and they want to keep that connection. They feel like friends after an hour. It's amazing. It's like where did this come from? It's a power that we need to harness to our benefit. That's what it's there for. And we have to tap into it, because today it can really change the world quickly. As we can see, as these examples testify, but we need to spread it out. Okay, let's take another one. So who is to blame for anti-Semitism? The Jew for not doing what they are supposed to be doing? It's not about blaming, really. If you come to a person and tell him it's your fault, there's very little chance he'll listen to you. And it's not like the Jews are doing this on purpose. They're unaware. We need to make everyone aware. I mean, the discussion around being a light for the nations exists among Jews. It's there. Most Jews are aware of the concept. Some of them are actually talking about it. And they're asking, what does it mean to be a light for the nations? And they have many different answers. And we just need to come and present our own. Softly, gently, not in any coercive manner that will only invoke antagonism. And suggest a workshop. Let's workshop on it. And explain how, in what way. Or even if not, just give them a link. Go to bundleofreads.com. Go to ariresearch.org. Go to michaelleitman.com. And that's it. So don't look for any culprits or any person to point the finger at. It's not helpful. The idea is to make people aware. Most Jews have this inherent feeling that there's a reason why so many people hate them. They're searching within. You just got to gently tap into it. That's all. But be friendly, or people won't listen. Wow,
a lot of questions.
A lot of questions? I wanted to read some more of the slides, but let's give preference to the questions today.
Yeah, no, I was also saying the questions that were sent in. I'm having a look at your pages as well.
Oh, yeah.
Also, here there are quite a few questions. So what do you prefer? Take another question?
Yeah, let's take something more provocative here.
Okay.
I wonder, why are you so sure about being the center of the spiritual world? Well, you know what? I'm not. But what does it matter? Israel and Jews are and have been the focal point of so much animosity and so much violence and so many questions in books about why there's Jews, why there's Judaism, why there are Jews, why do they survive? Every nation that has tried to destroy the Jews, almost every nation, is already gone into the dust of history, you know. The Romans, the Greek, the Babylonians, the Spain is nothing like it was before. Nazi Germany is nothing like it was before. There's no Nazi Germany anymore, but Germany today is not Germany that was during Hitler's time. But Jews are still around. So they are the center of attention. Forget about the spiritual world. They are the center of attention in this world. Look at the press. Look at what's being written. So, it's not about being sure or not sure. It's about, there's a certain situation, and people are asking questions, why this is so. And Dr. Leitman has the answers, and we believe that he is right. So we are here to help spread out these answers. And even his answers are not his. It's answers that knowledgeable people have had for centuries, and which should now be known to all. So that's what we're trying to do. For all we care, we could be way out of the limelight as long as the message is spread out. Yeah. Go ahead. Another question from you.
Another question from here. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a question from about 20 minutes ago. So it was about what you were speaking about before when you were explaining. I'll ask a question and see if you can remember the context, but it's a good question anyway. Andrea from New Jersey is saying, it sounds almost like a kibbutz or a commune, but they didn't work. Why not? Why didn't the kibbutzim, the communes, why didn't they work? Because basically, maybe to those who aren't so familiar with the kibbutzim or what they mean, it's basically a commune where people live in a close area and they work together and they have a common funding model. You know, they all work.
They share their income.
Yeah, they share their income. They eat in a common dining room.
Right.
Maybe not today, but the concept of a kibbutz was like that in recent.
We're talking about the concept of a kibbutz. Today they don't even share their incomes. I can tell you firsthand,
Oh yeah, that's right. You're a kibbutznik.
Right, exactly. I was born and grew up in a kibbutz. Let me tell you, it's unnatural. It's against human nature. People are egoists. So what happens is you take a bunch of egoists and you put them all together and you expect them to live in an altruistic way. Bala Salam explains it very well in the writings of the last generation. He says that there are people who are naturally altruistic. In what sense? They feel that being good to people and being in unity with people is a good thing to do. Okay, they're not looking for the creator in that sense or nothing else, but they feel that this is the right way to be. So they created communism and they created the kibbutzim. But he wrote back in the early 50s or late 40s that this will not hold. That what happens is that the first generation were altruists, natural altruists, but the second generation, their children, are born egoists. The kibbutzim is a great example. He says that about 10% of the world are born with this natural altruism. Okay, so what happens is that these people get together and establish a settlement. They live together, 100% of them are altruists. Ideally. You have 100% of the population in that kibbutz being altruists. And they live together and everything is fine. And then they have kids. But those kids, 90% of them are egoists. Because that's nature. So what happens is the second generation, by default, destroys what the parents built. It doesn't last. Russia is even worse. Because there were a bunch of altruists got together and said, people aren't altruists, but that's the way to be. So we're going to force them to be altruists. So they forced communism on hundreds of millions of people who were not into it, who were egoists. So of course it didn't work. It ended up in a disaster. So what's the question?
So the question was, why didn't they work?
Oh.
And you pretty much answered that.
Okay. That's why it didn't work.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
More?
More. Maybe you take one from the pre-sent questions.
Okay. Why do we call ourselves Jews? To set ourselves apart when our goal is unity. After all, there were 12 tribes. Who knows who belongs to the other 11 tribes? Well, first of all, today we're not disseminating to the other 12 tribes, 11 tribes, however many tribes there are. We're disseminating to everyone and anyone. Anyone who's interested is welcome aboard. Second, why do we call ourselves Jews? To set ourselves apart. The word Jew means two things. In Hebrew, it means, the Hebrew word for Jew is Yehudi. Yehudi means Yehudi, from unique, and Yehudi from Meyuchad, united. So first of all, unity is at the core of the term Jew. And second, the unique in the Yehudi refers to the unique force that runs the world, in which when we unite, we come in contact with it. That's why there's the term Jews. That's what it symbolizes. That's what the term Yehudi, that's what it symbolizes. So I'm not sure where this interpretation came from, but Yehudi entails within it our mission and the final purpose of our mission.
There's a follow-up question from Andrea,
Okay.
who asked about the kibbutz. So she says, so won't our efforts be in vain as well?
Whose efforts?
Our efforts, because you explained why the kibbutz didn't work. You took a 10% altruist from the population, and then you forced that method on 90% egoist, and it just fell apart.
No, that's very different what we're doing from what they were doing. We are giving away for the 90%, for the 100% actually now. Because even those altruists are, at the end of the day, egoists, as we can see with what happened in Russia. And even those altruists in the kibbutzim were not that altruistic, because they took care of each other very well. But they often did it at the expense of other kibbutzim and other cities in Israel. That's a different story. It's just, this altruism is just another form of egoism, basically. So what we're offering here is a fundamental change in the nature of every single person on earth. It's an unbelievably simple method for adding a spice that's so needed today to our lives. Because nothing needs to change in our lives. We don't have to change New York City into a huge commune. But when people understand what needs to be added into their lives, the New Yorkers will find the right way to live together. And the same applies for everywhere. We will be living with the understanding that you cannot be content and happy with your life unless everybody else is. And you will feel that connectedness through these very simple means. Workshops, or the education center if you want. That's all it takes. And of course, reading a few books about it, getting more information, that always helps to solidify this new direction. Which I said you can get them at reresearch.org. Okay, more?
From here? You want to take one from there?
Yeah, let's take one from here, from our students.
Okay. Val Fayer. Val asks, can you explain by a few examples what it means as a Kabbalist, we were talking about that before I think, and also now that you mentioned that there are a few methods, to unite below in order to achieve heaven above? Open it a bit into different directions.
I think it's a little late in the lesson to get into that.
Yeah.
But that's a great question for a point in the heart. So Val, do register to the Education Center. I'm sure you'll get plenty of information about that. That's exactly the topic of the lessons. So you'll get everything you need from there. Okay, so let's take one quick one.
There were also throughout the lesson a few questions about Kabbalah, so that comment Chaim mentioned is relevant maybe for all of you students.
Okay, yes. Any Kabbalah-related question, please go to the EC, register, and you will. If not, you can just download the lessons and
That's
watch
Kabbalahinfo.
Yeah, right. At Kabbalahinfo, you will find the Education Center. You can download the lessons. It's free. But if you want to attend a live lesson where you can actually post questions just like we do here, just register and just join a course. It's also free. It's also free. It's all free. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take one last question and answer it quickly, and then we'll move into announcements. Do male-female differences play any role in how we should unite? For example, is it better to do workshops with men and women together or in separate groups? And there's a PS here. These video lessons are terrific. Thank you. Well, play by ear. Whatever feels comfortable. You know, if you feel comfortable being with only men or only women in a circle because you get distracted, you know, human nature, then separate the circles. If you feel comfortable doing it in mixed circles, do it this way. If it's a family circle, you know, what are you going to do? Separate them? Just, the important point is to feel comfortable about it. To be able to focus on connecting the hearts and not connecting the bodies. Okay? That's what you want to focus on. If you can connect the hearts, then you're in the right kind of circle. If not, make some adjustments. Okay? So on this, I'm using a note. We will end our lesson today. And we will see you next week. The topic of next week's lesson is
affecting social cohesion,
right.
The vital role of the environment and social values.
Thank you,
so
Gad.
That's next week's lesson. That's going to take place exactly in 1 week from now, minus an hour and 15 minutes. That is Tuesday, January the 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time until 9:15 Eastern Time. And, well, the regular announcements. If you haven't liked us yet on Facebook, then go in there right now. Go into Facebook. Wait a few seconds. Okay, great. You're in there now. Type in bundle of reads. Just one word, bundle of reads. Okay, so by now we have high-speed internet. You're already in that on the page. Okay, great. You have that button. Press it. That means like. And that means you'll get our updates. You'll get the links to the lessons are on there as well. You'll get interesting articles that are posted there. And if you have any other questions, then you can always send them in as usual through the reply. Please do. It's good to get questions in advance also.
Also testimonials, experiences from the workshops that you do.
That's right, testimonials. Some students even sent in pictures. It was great to see. It was very beautiful to see pictures that students sent in of workshops they did. So
video questions too.
Questions, video questions.
How do they do it?
Experiences, video questions. You just record yourself, simple webcam, upload to YouTube, and then just send us the link
in the reply mail.
In the reply mail. So in the reply mail, you can send us questions. You can send us experiences from the workshop. You can send us video questions. You can send us even a video of the workshop maybe. If you do a video of the workshop, pictures, anything you want that you think will inspire us and the students related to what we're talking about here would be great. We'll be very happy to receive it. So, thank you, Chaim.
Thank you, Gilad. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you next week. Until
Bye-bye.
then, bye.